Hey folks, Farok here. Okay, so I apologize for the delay between videos. I should be giving them more frequently, and I will try to improve on that. So let's start with a blank sheet. We'll call it cell ops. We're going to be doing some cell operations. Let's say we have two columns. We have a column A, and we have a column B. Okay? Let's say in A we have the number 12, the number 23, some other number, yeah, okay? So, just to make it clear, I'm going to put a border here. Now we want to count not the numbers, we don't want to add it up like we did last time, but we want to count how many cells are occupied. For example, we could have a number down here and a number down here too, and if we wanted to count, we would want only the cells that are filled. Right? So what we would do is, in fact, let's do this. So what I would do is write equals, we're going to use an Excel function, counts the number of cells that contain numbers. So we're going to do tab, and we'll highlight all of this, and hit enter. Now it only did 6, so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, bravo. But the problem is this. What if I have this? And I want to count everything that's full, including letters. So if I just do equals count, and I highlight all these, it's only going to give me the amount of cells that have numbers in it, not including letters. And in this case, let's say I wanted anything that was filled, including letters. So then you have to do count A, which counts cells that are not empty, tab. So I would highlight all of these, and that would give me 7, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it's actually counting this guy too. Okay, 7, right? From here, 7 are filled and 1 is empty. So it's count for just numbers. That's the name of the function. And it's count A for counting everything, including letters. Let's work on something new called drag, the drag feature, which is, without a doubt, the most commonly used feature in the entire Excel. So let's say you want to do increments. For example, you want to add by half. So you want to start with 0.5, and then you want 1. So how do you get 1 from 0.5? So you would write equals that cell plus 0.5. So we did 0.5, which is this cell, plus another 0.5. Now if I click here, hold down in this corner and drag it down, look what it did. Now why did it do that? Because it automatically assumes I want to drop down another row. So now I'm doing F2 plus 0.5. This is F2 plus 0.5, right? Here it assumes I want to do F3 plus 0.5, which is now this is F3. So it's going to add 0.5 to this. And in fact, I could just go like this, and it keeps on adding 0.5. So it keeps on looking up a cell and adding 0.5 to it. Up a cell, adding 0.5. Up a cell, adding 0.5. So by dragging it down, Excel automatically figures out that you want to copy the formula but change it in a way that now it's shifting down a cell. So let's do it with easier numbers, okay? Here I had 1. Here I want to do equals that cell plus 1. Now if I drag this down, it's going to keep on adding 1 to the cell above it. F3 plus 1, F4 plus 1, F5 plus 1. Okay? That's the drag feature. Now you might think to yourself, well, there are some times when I drag and I don't want things to change. Let me give you an example of what that would be like. Let's say I had 1 here, and I was talking in money, okay? So this is $1. Let's say here we're doing, what's a good example? Okay. 0.5, let's say we're doing in money, okay? And here what I want to do is I want to do, this should equal this dollar plus 0.5. Yeah, okay? No, this is not right. I'm blanking out here. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. Okay, anyhow. So basically, let's say I want to completely redo that formula, okay? So I have 1 here. And here I want to do equals that plus 1. Right? So I'm going to drag down the whole thing, and it's going to do these numbers again. And let's say we're talking about prices of some item. In fact, we could change it to dollar bills. So let's just highlight this. We'll change it to currency. So you're going to have dollars. Let's say this is a tax. It's a fine, let's say. For shopping in this luxury store, you automatically pay an extra $1 fine. So everything has an extra $1 tacked onto it. So not only is it plus that, but it's also plus this cell. Okay? So this is right. It's doing cell K2, which is this cell. It's adding 1 to it, so 1 plus 1 is 2. And then it's adding this, which makes it 3. Okay? So this is right. But watch what happens when I drag it down. It did 4. Now, look at the math. That doesn't seem right. I want to do this. Plus 1 should make it 4. Plus this should make it 5. So why is it 4? And the reason is because by dragging it down, it assumed I wanted to drag this down to this cell. And this cell is empty. But in fact, no. I want there to be a $1 fine no matter what I do. So I have to lock this in. And the way you lock it in is with dollar signs. So what cell was this? This was cell J2, right? So let's delete this. I'm going to go back here. And by J2, I'm going to put a dollar sign by the number 2. Now what that means is, that means that I want to lock in the height of this cell. So no matter what I do with this, drag it down, it should not drag this down. It's going to lock this in on height 2. Okay? So watch what happens if I drag it down now. Now it jumps to 5, and if you look, it's still 2. And I can keep dragging this down, and this is always going to stay J2, because I put a dollar sign there to lock in that this is row 2. In fact, if I drag this over sideways, what does it become? It becomes K2, because it assumes I want to bring this over sideways, right? Well, what if I don't want to? What if I want this to stay J2 no matter what? So what I would do is, I would come here and I would not only lock in the number 2, I would lock in the J also with a dollar sign. And then, no matter where I dragged it, no matter what I did with this, oops, to the side, down, it would always keep J and 2. The first dollar sign locks in which column it's in, and the second one locks in the height. Let's try something else pretty cool. This actually fine was a good example, but let's just do something else. Let's say that there was a bonus. And this bonus, everyone got. Everyone in the bank got a $25 bonus at the end of the year. Okay? So that gets added onto everyone's salary. Now, I could individually, by everyone's name, so we have Sally and Bob and Karsten Holbach. You get the picture, right? Anyhow, so I got all these people, and they're all going to get a salary. So Sally's going to get equals 100. Bob's going to get equals 200. And Karsten's going to get equals 5,000, of course. But these guys all get the $25 bonus. So I could do plus, link them to the bonus cell. But there's an easier way to do this. I can click on the number of this cell, click up here where it says D17, and write bonus. Enter. Now, when I write bonus anywhere, it's automatically going to link to this cell. So watch this. I wrote equals 100 plus bonus. There it is. Tab, enter, and it automatically added 25. How cool is that? Over here I'm going to write plus bonus, and over here I'm going to write plus bonus. And now they're all getting that bonus. And if I change this bonus to $100, oops, what's going on? If I change this to, do I not have numlock on? What's wrong with me? I change this to $100, boom, and all their bonuses are applied, right? So it's really sweet. Instead of linking to this cell, the major advantage to this is, what if you're looking at your code a year later, or somebody else is looking at your code, and they see all these cell names? It becomes such a pain. Oh, wait a minute, where's L9? They have to find it. Where's J2? And they're looking all over the screen trying to find these numbers. But if you just write salary plus a bonus, they know, oh, that's the bonus, right? It's much more obvious. And again, with Excel, you're really trying to make things clear and be concise. So it's really nice to use cell naming like this and not actually point to the cell. Okay, let me teach you another cool trick. Let's say we have a cell that says match in it, okay? I'm just writing the word match for no particular reason. Now, if I wrote equals that cell, it's just going to say what it is, right? Let's say I highlighted a whole bunch of cells. 1, 2, 3, whatever it is, bunch of cells. And I go over here and I click on this formula bar and I write equals and I click on this cell. Now, what would happen if I push enter? It would just fill in the first one with the word match, which kind of makes sense because there's nothing fancy really going on. But if I did equals that and I press the buttons Control, Shift, Enter, it automatically fills them all up with that cell. And not only that, let me write this, by the way, down. Control, Shift, Enter. Not only that, if I try to delete one of them, watch what happens. It no longer views each of these as an individual cell. It views this whole chunk as one big fat cell. So I can't do anything unless I highlight them all and then press delete. It becomes like one big block. That is really useful later on when we're dealing with matrices and arrays. So that's cool. Let me show you one more thing. Let's say we have dates over here, okay? So we have equals today. That's today's date. Now let's drag down. We have tomorrow, the next day. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm sorry. This is going to be equal today plus 1. That's tomorrow's date. You keep dragging it down, then the next day, next day. Okay, stop it. Cancel. Oh, that's so annoying. Anyhow, so here are a bunch of dates, right? And let's say we want to, I don't know, figure out something. Blah. Let's do a random number. No, actually, I'll do that at a different time. Okay, so we're just going to do, for whatever reason, you know what? That's a great idea. For each date, we're going to use these numbers. So I'm going to do this date is going to equal this number. Okay? And this date is going to equal this number. Okay? Now Excel, just by the fact that it took this and this, if I now drag this down, it's going to know that I want to do this. It's going to figure it out, right? Because I did this one. Now I did this one. So it's going to figure out that I want to do these now. So what I can do, instead of dragging it down, is I can double click in this corner. And it automatically goes down until the end point. Now here's where it gets really sweet. Watch this. Let's say I didn't have these last two dates. Okay? Let's say I only had up to here. And I took the first number here and the second number here as the values for these dates. If I double click here, it won't go to the bottom here. It'll fill only up until the corresponding cell next to it. So it takes how many dates we have and it fills it with data right next to it. It's a really sweet feature, and it becomes really handy when you have like really long cells. You don't have to start dragging down or anything. You just go click, click, and you're done. And it just populates it up until the bottom date. It's really sweet. With the numbers I deal with at work, we're dealing with 10 years of data. It's just massive rows of dates. I just double click and the data's filled. So it's really, really sweet. And yeah, that's it for basic cell operations.